everyone, and welcome to this evening. I'm really happy that we are getting this opportunity due to Bath Binge by Fima. I'm sure all of us are connecting over this, and there is a discussion on something that has become very special now. I mean, in the last 10 years, we've seen the changes in how the perception of toilets have changed, and a lot of it is owed to the kind of fittings and fixtures that have now become accessible to us as designers in India, right? Even in Chennai, you have so many options to choose, and we have new brands and new fixtures, new fittings to look at. The topic for today is real bathroom concepts for real Indian homes. I think that's close to everyone's heart. We do Indian homes all the time, and there are different challenges than what we usually see there. So from our experiences, that is what Fima has put this evening together, that we all discuss and figure out how does it work, how much of it will work for them too. So timeless classics or modern tech-driven bathrooms? What is your take? Malar, would you take a shot at that?
Yeah, so basically I would say modern tech because the era is just evolving and it's upgrading. So we get new diseases, everything is new. So we all, want something relaxing, soothing. We all, go towards peace and all of that. And that mainly when it comes to bath and everything, I think that's where we can, upgrade and, get into the latest ones. Yeah. So you have all your spa treated showers and everything. So I think it's a good option to switch into the upgraded ones rather than the traditional ones.
So even as what you're saying has a lot of sense right now, especially post-pandemic, we have had completely different experiences of designing now, right, with this. But I think I've skipped a step in introducing Malar, a round of introductions of who we are before we start off on the questions. So do bear with me. Thank you.
So I'm Malar. I'm a co-founder of Architecture WIP, Harvard. So we are a 5-year-old company and based out of Chennai.
Great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sunana, co-founder of DS Design Consultants. We're a 4-year-old firm, but between my partner and me, we have 30 plus years of experience which we bring into the industry. So thank you for having us here. It's an interesting, different topic that we're addressing from usual panel discussions that we have.
So Sunana, you're from DS Designs, right?
Hi, I'm Sharanya. I'm from Studio Context Architects, co-founder, and we've been around for about 10 years. And we do a lot of residential. We primarily play in the residential sector, so both interior as well as architecture. We do a lot of work primarily in Chennai, but a little bit outside of Chennai as well.
Hi, Raghuveer, co-founder again. So we both started Studio Context about 10 years back, and we've been concentrating predominantly on residential and also something that's very context-based, something that's very tropical, something that's very Indian. So that's our forte.
Hi, I'm Jerry, Principal Architect of Dwellian Architects. Dwellian Architects is in existence for more than 18 years now. We've done more than 400 plus projects built and unbuilt. And we've done projects varied from residential to industrial, apartments, institutionals, commercials, showrooms and everything. Good to be here in Fima with all you people to discuss on new technology on toilets and bathrooms.
Great. And I'm Pranita. I'm a founder of D Studio. We're into interior designing and execution, and we've been around in Chennai for around 15 years now. So yes, I don't think there's a real demarcation of residential and commercial unless you choose to work only in one segment. So there is that overlap where we work everywhere. And yes, that brings us to, I think all of us do residences, whether we like it or not, that's your bread and butter, and that is something that is consistent and always there. And that is where the demands also change, don't you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, what we're talking about here is such an intrinsic part of everyday life, right? Whether it's commercial or residential, bath spaces or restrooms are absolutely essential. And today we have not just as architects but even as clients, right? The more they travel, the more they have exposure to different designs from publications and all of it. So even if we they help us, by pushing our boundaries. They want us to experiment. They want us to come up with innovative and beautiful looking bathrooms. I think there's a lot of shift in the mindset where people want beautiful spaces, well done, well curated, well engineered spaces. So it's definitely one of the most interesting things when we design residences as well. So it's very apt for the conversation.
For the discussions today. Sunaina, also, what's your experience of?
I would definitely say the modern and more technologically advanced fittings and fixtures that are available, that would, whether it's commercial or residential, we deal with all kinds of projects, and definitely, like she said, the clients are more aware. They're well traveled. They know what they expect, designing of bathrooms become a very important aspect of the space.
Very integral.
Because in terms of hygiene, in terms of comfort, in terms of the ergonomics of the space, everything, all of that becomes a very important part. So having more modern and clean lines, having fittings that are easy to use, those become integral as part of it.
Okay. Jerry, you're the only one who said commercial, so I'm going to ask you, how's the commercial scene when it comes to?
So commercial sector as well as residential, both are the same actually. In commercials, at least you need to try to find a equipment or a bathroom fitting which will save some money for them. Like instead of using more of water, a lot of wastage of water, they look at saving some money. Even with the residential, it's all the same. If you ask me, when it comes to modern or the traditional, I would say the modern technology, because it has got a lot of cutting edge technology which is easy to fix for yourself, by yourself, do it by your own. You need not have to train your plumber to
Anyone
you
else
can still do it.
You have plumber nightmares.
Everything. And the finishes, the technology, what they bring to the table, that speaks a lot when it comes to the modern technology. So I would always prefer to go with the modern technology instead of the traditional designs.
Has it changed post-pandemic, the kind of fittings?
Yes, now as she said, the clients are more aware about the new technologies and the new finishes. Even if we are not aware of it, they will push us to do it, go find this, go find that, and then we will try to go and experiment what is happening, what's new in the industry. Then we will check on it, then we become aware of the new technology. Right. So I would say the client are more aware about the entire, the world has become a small village now.
Absolutely.
So you can find it everywhere. Even the Italian product is here right now in Chennai.
Yeah.
Earlier we used to travel down to Italy to find a product.
Absolutely. Very true.
But that's actually very interesting. But because when you travel to Italy, 90% of the hotels or the homes don't have well equipped toilets.
They're very tiny spaces.
They're nice. Yeah. They're dry, but they're not very comfortable to use. A lot of them, and the way they plan them with the WC in a separate area, and sometimes it is not always conducive for usage. I think it's more, I would definitely say in terms of toilet technology, the Japanese they do take the cake on that, but not necessarily that, though you were talking about the conserving water and things like that, but though they have technology to do a lot more with that, a lot of the other, globally not everybody is ready for that. Like when you use a wash basin that is attached to a closet, the water from the wash basin, once you wash your hands, that goes into the flush tank, and then so people are not ready to accept that much of technology.
Mentally.
But somewhere in between is where we try.
We are
to
still
get
a conservative country to handle this kind of
When
stuff.
it comes to very
I think,
open.
also generally it's a very multi-generational household, right? Whatever we design for. So more often what happens is the younger ones definitely are like if you let a kid walk into a bathroom, he will know everything, what works and what doesn't work. But then there are always aged people as well who, you know, are very set in their ways. So I think what is needed is, of course, we can't compromise on functionality, but given that is like an like, you know, that's taken care of, I think it should also be something that's very user friendly. So I wouldn't necessarily like say whether it's modern or traditional, but something that sort of suits everyone across age groups. And the traditional or the modern thing can always be brought in with the aesthetics of the bathroom, like how you detail the space and what kind of elements you put in and things like that. So I think
But
that's
it's also about, sorry. Yeah, it's also about what technology are we talking about, whether it's for wellness or whether it's for sustainability.
Right.
And at the end of the day, what is more functional? So there are heated seats that are available in WCs. How much of it is really needed for us, or
In
know,
Chennai,
You don't
it's
need
a
it in
very
India.
rare,
Yeah,
In
we
India,
don't
you don't
need it.
need that, right?
So similarly, a built-in faucet, for example, head
Bidet,
faucet, whether it's, I mean, it's a luxurious touch to it. So I personally would always choose for technology that's more functional, that you know helps you do something better, that uses lesser water but flushes out. You know,
Right.
that I would give that more preference. Like for example, there are brands that have buttons to choose your shower and your spout and everything, but
very
irrespective
few
of the brand, very few actually last the time. So
they get blocked.
it's important that the technology is also proven over time, and in that sense, I would go for the conventional. But yeah, in terms of if it's something that can save on water or make life better in terms of function, then I'd go for technology.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, most of the fittings, if it has a water-saving one, especially coming from Chennai, we are always very conscious.
Yeah.
If there is a fitting that comes in with a water-saving facility built in, the spray is higher, the pressure is higher.
Especially because now rain showers and everything, they
Right.
consume almost 3 times more water.
Yeah.
So it's important that we are very conscious about something like this as well.
And yet at the same time, we are also promoting wellness, right? So we'd say
Yeah.
the houses are smaller and then you need that to be compact.
Yeah, which is why technology should make sense, right? In the sense that it should be apt, appropriate for who's the end user. It's not to say that, you know, somebody cannot have a very fancy looking closet which doubles up as a wash basin or whatever, right? Like there's no end to any of these kind of innovative solutions. But does it make sense to the end user? And I think that because there are just so many different applications for all of these, right? If you look at it as just a bathroom, but then when you go into the intricacies of what the end user wants, I'm pretty sure like all brands, especially people like Fima and all, will be coming up with technology across the spectrum, whether it's a simple functional tap or whether it's a, you know, multifunctional semi-automated or an automated WC. I think the technology is in how you better function the piece of hardware that you put in or fitting that you put in.
That's even I wanted to add to it. Like basically, the output, the end result is what we're looking at it when it comes to fitting. So we're not a person who wants to, you know, have a touch sensor button or something, not like that. Basically, you know, what's the output? What is the usage that they're going to get at the end? So that's enough. If that's one line which is concentrated, then we get the option to choose from and then do. Rather than, you know, experimenting on, you know, smart methods and all of that, I don't think people are into that. Very few. That might not be suitable for all as well. So as far
I think that's where
the function is concerned, we can do it. So one thing which is, you know, good to work with is you don't have to concentrate on design here. We already have well-designed fittings. You just have to plug and play.
Right.
So that's it. So you just have to concentrate on the function that you need, and then that's it. Very simple. Not into, you know, electric gadgets and stuff and all.
I think that's where between commercial projects and residential the variation comes in, because commercial we want as much touchless as possible. There is the one thing you were asking about post-COVID, the change has been that more clients are accepting, yes, we definitely have to spend that extra delta cost for sensory stats. people would think twice, should we go for press button and those kind of things. But not necessarily that is, water efficient fitting at the end of it, because press button, people end up pressing it 3 times, it's actually a waste. So the sensor base is what should be used in that kind of a scenario, especially in public spaces, in commercial spaces, which is very different from what you would look for in a residential project.
Absolutely.
But,
Absolutely. I mean, there are 2 different population that we are dealing with, so that it really depends on who's going to be the end user, which is what in a residence it's driven by the people who are occupying it, and in a public space you have offices or you have gyms or things where there are multiple users. Technology really helps us there, because now more and more people don't want to touch certain services because they have such inbuilt fears right now. So those areas are working.
In recent time, even this is like broke, as in they always take it like, commercial, maybe, you don't have to go for such high-end products and things like that. But then here in commercial field now, you see people are expecting durability, look, easy maintenance. These are the things. So very renowned brands, they, work in detail. Like you have your ringless technologies, where you don't have dirt accumulating. So people are coming forward to spend. So you can see all the brands used extensively on most of the commercials. So it wasn't like before, like, the general commercials, they won't touch, certain brands.
It's also the fact that at that range we have more options. At every slab of budget, you have different options available. Earlier, you just had a couple of options and you had to choose from A or B.
That's true.
And now you have so many more, and that is making it competitive, and it's getting us better
absolutely.
products
Because I
to
think,
design with.
especially when you say rimless toilets, everybody up till Pariware has rimless now. So definitely, technology is very important from the sense that you bring in something new to the world, and then over time people start to realize that, and every brand takes it up, and then it's no longer a new technology; it's a part of how the design should be. So
I think that's the right way for any progress.
If it's more of mechanical, more of function, it's better. Rather than bringing in fancy stuff, I would say, in terms of function, if it's solving,
I would love to understand what's fancy stuff for each one of us.
fancy
We'll
stuff,
have.
as in, like, you get suddenly, you get the light fittings, you get to control it from your phone, and you have a panel outside, you won't even know which button.
Some play music.
Yeah, it's okay.
especially with the toilet seats, I think they have a lot of
Yeah.
it's endless.
Voice control.
You get seat warmer also in a toilet seat.
But then
So the
you know
seat
what?
warmer is not so much a thing in India, but one
It
thing
is
that is
important.
in all the public toilets in Europe nowadays, they do have the toilet seat cover,
that's very nice.
and that's just an automatic thing. So it's worth the €1 that you pay that you get a new seat cover.
Yeah.
So that is something that people are asking about in India, but the cost is quite high, so they don't want to spend that. Though they
Differential
would
is-
like, it's like there are certain must-haves and there are like-to-have. So this still falls under the like-to-have. After COVID, people are becoming more aware of these kind of things that are available. But are they willing to spend that extra for it? Is what it is. Those kind of technology, yes, they exist, but and it would
Very
make
true,
sense.
very true.
It does make
I mean,
sense,
it
but
is.
monetarily, does it make sense to spend that extra?
To have.
Yeah.
And
That's
the
where I
mechanism
think
fails, then again.
that's true. But I think that's where the Indian market is extremely varied, right? You have somebody who can really spend on anything that they want. So, which is why brands like Fima can also sell their most high-end products to an Indian consumer as well.
There is a need also. I mean, if you have that need, you will be.
Yeah, exactly. Some people who really
Yeah.
think their bathrooms
If-
are extremely important for them, so
Like seat
they're willing to go
warmers,
that extra mile.
Just going back to that one, in residential, when what she was saying, right, that there are multi-age groups.
Correct.
When we do homes in Delhi, it is like a must-have, right? The same thing may not be relevant in Chennai, because you have a warm weather. So it's also about the situation where you're designing. So it has to be there. A whole lot of here, the water saving facility is so important for us. We think of energy saving first when we are doing that. Is it connected to whether it's rainwater harvesting? I think our state was one of the first to introduce it. Similarly, we are taking up most of the government projects now are using water saving fittings and fixtures. So they are encouraging that. So those little things, that is technology, has become absolutely integral to our approach. So it's very situational also. And then you have another segment altogether, which is wellness, where you have so much technology and I don't know, but I had a feeling that during the pandemic, with so many people staying home, there was a demand that went up. It triggered, okay, the bathroom became the focus again. Okay, we can have all these fittings and fixtures. Have you had that
Also,
experience?
not just about functionality, even about the next level, talking about luxury. So that is something that people didn't mind spending a little extra in their homes for.
Right,
Yeah,
that is
bathroom,
what we
which
saw.
earlier used to be, you think about it a lot, but now you're like you want that space to be a little extra.
And so it came in very easy when I said rain shower plus body shower plus this. They were like demanding from the other side. I want this.
Creative also. I had a client who was, literally planning their stuff, to spend like a 1 hour in the bathroom. So it's like a bathtub, and then they say you need a niche to keep the iPad to relax. It goes from there. So it's like they do take so much consideration for putting things to curate what you need for the bathroom. So they're very choosy what to
What kind of fittings.
They're very okay to spend also.
Yeah.
So the weightage that we normally have, it's equivalent to, it's 50-50 of my interior and the bathroom, I would say.
Yeah, bathrooms are high spending.
High spending.
Definitely
Also,
it is.
it's also the micro unit where the entire household and what we do comes together in one.
And it's something that you would definitely use every day. So
Yeah.
I think the accessories plays a major role here. Like how you hang what, everything they are into, they make a really good.
Those are the finishes part, but also the engineering part. I mean, the services and designing it and keeping it ready for all these fittings to come in. Form over function, they say. We say there's nothing called form over function.
And
Then only we have form. Form is second to all.
yeah, I think form maximum wash basin, you can go for whatever you want. But everything else is extremely functional.
And even that you choose whether
Whether the splash is too much or
Yeah, that becomes the criteria.
It has to be deep
Is it
enough.
deep enough?
Is
Is
it
it too
deep
shallow?
enough?
Is it
Yeah,
too splash?
splash. Yeah,
So that
absolutely.
is the first question we get from clients.
I have options for that also. You
Yeah.
have your tags, which is
the foam like
Yeah,
water.
yeah.
So
But even then, with the shallow thing, especially when there's an elder person using it, sometimes they're still trying to figure out which direction to move the tap, then it becomes.
Even when we're talking about form over function, a bathroom is what we all need to understand is a place where several vendors like agencies, come into effect in one tiny space, right? Your electrical has to be spot on, your slopes, your plumbing, your tiling, your grouting, you name it. You obviously, because water is something that's very tricky, right? It find its place to seep in, and then there's like havoc over the entire street. You don't know where it may. Your leak will be somewhere else, but the effect is felt somewhere else. Like absolutely no relation. So I think everything has to fall in place. So definitely functionality there takes the precedence. And as a designer, I think our role is to bring value, which is just make it look aesthetically pleasing, and whatever the each client will have a certain requirement as to how they want their space based on the context or based on their personal preferences and things like that. So function can never be compromised. And then,
not in a toilet.
yeah, especially not in a toilet, yeah.
You have too many things that.
Yeah.
So when it comes to aesthetics, you can always play around with your tiles and it's done. So you don't have to concentrate on the fittings. Again, fittings, if you want it more traditional, you have all your brass finishes, your copper finishes. So it's done. So basically, you just fix all your fittings, make sure your pipelines and everything is all in place. All that, then it's just a skill. You work on your tile and it's done. You can have so many varieties of art itself, with just fittings being the same. With just tiles, you can.
So how important do you think lighting is? What are the main criteria? Lighting in a toilet, is it important? How important?
I mean, the most ideal situation is to have ample of natural light, which you can control if you are designing the space. If you are given a space, then you can't really control that much. But I would always add that with lighting, ventilation is as important, especially in India where we don't tend to keep our bathrooms dry all the time, and the wet areas need to dry up really fast. So at least in most of the projects that we do, we definitely make sure that there are huge skylights, there are of course design permitting, that it quickly dries up the space, and it needs to be an open sky skylight so that the smell also goes away in a matter of seconds. But then it takes a lot of convincing for the client to say that the top is going to be open, and then we'll still secure it in different ways and all of that.
When you're doing an independent house, but
You can. That's what I meant. That it depends on whether you're given a space or you're getting to do a space.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, of course, you see here the beautiful lights. You can always create the moods with these kind of lights. But when we go back to function, I would say that nothing better than natural.
All of us keep saying that.
Yeah, but nothing better than natural lighting and ventilation. Is what I'm saying. Yeah.
First preference, but then when you go into your fittings and fixtures and selecting that, what does the main criteria then?
With respect to light or
No, bathroom toilet fittings.
it depends
What
on.
would you look for if you're doing a bathroom? What is the kind of demand that comes in from our context, contextualizing
I think
it to Chennai?
for us, we have a big seashore, right? And we do a lot of projects that belong to the seashore as well. So we have a lot of salinity in the air. So when we do chrome fittings, right? So there's a lot of corrosion that happens over a period of time. So we suggest that we go for PVD finishes because that gives an extra layer of protection. That also, of course, adds to the beauty, but functionally it helps secure the fittings, the outer covering and all of it. The second thing is water. So water across the city, we have no control over the supply, right? We do not know if it's hard water, if it's saline water. So you tend to leave a lot of the spots, stains, which you can tell your clients that there's a certain level of maintenance that it comes with, and clients do take that extra effort to maintain, and given whatever the brands suggest and
Especially
things
if you
like
go
that.
in for like black WCs and
Yeah,
wash basins.
they need to be spotless and with the true intent of how it was meant to be. But we should always be cautious that there's always a slip in maintenance. So you cannot control all these things. They're not completely. You can't demand that you can do all these only when these. So we tell people that. To have reasonable expectations. Yeah, there's a reality. Yeah, I know. So we are very.
It's not only about Chennai. It's any city. I'm sure Delhi's water is as bad as Chennai's.
Yeah.
But see, when you go in for a rain shower with, and especially nowadays you have to have a pressure pump, and then there are these extremely tiny pores that give you like a powder-like feel, and then if you have that dust settlement in the water, and then that's it, 10 days you're. So before buying the shower, the guy tells us to put in a 3M filter. So there are like multiple stages that we need to do before you actually
get
you
the
want.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop with just choosing that, right? You have to do multiple things before to make sure.
Especially in apartments, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
When they want to do all of this, they want their bathroom to have open sanitary. But it's not so straightforward.
Yeah,
Especially in an old apartment when they're renovating and they still want to do all of this.
and
So
it's
where to
not
keep the softener
you don't
plant,
have your
where-
own water, right? So it's common for
Shared.
To keep
floors.
in the shared space, are you allowed to keep the softener plant, pressure pump and all of those things? Once you start
Goes
discussing,
without saying. You
It
need to
is,
have
uh,
your softener, you need to have
yeah,
your-
these are two things that are absolutely required. We tell clients, your fittings are not going to last long. You will start seeing the scaling and that is going to happen. No matter how much you maintain, this is going to happen. And everyone says, oh, we want maintenance free. That is not a thing that exists. It's an oxymoron. There is no such thing as maintenance free in any
Cheap and
product.
best.
You will not get anything best with the cheap
There is nothing. Yeah, there is no such thing as maintenance free. It is ease of maintenance is the maximum that we can go. But not all products. Some of them look a little more fancy. It needs a little more maintenance.
Absolutely.
That is something that we need to accept while.
So I think as designers, it's equally on our end to educate the client at every stage, whether it's commercial or whether it's residential. we take them around, showrooms to show them, and then they get excited looking at catalogs and all of it. But then we have to sit and educate them that, we understand their requirements and they trust us to give them the best solution which we think fits their lifestyle. There's no point in, like they said, giving something very high end, but they're unable to maintain or do justice to what the fitting is. So then there's no point in.
I think that's the first role that we have.
Yeah.
And in the
Responsibility.
Indian context, it's all the more harder that you have to train the housekeeping staff.
Yeah.
More than the
Absolutely.
people themselves understanding, yes, they may understand everything, but it's very difficult to train the housekeeping staff to
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
It's
And
all
again,
not
it's
self-kept,
such a-
right? Usually.
It's not self-maintained. It's
Yeah.
not just
No, it's not.
Indian
And-
context, but a team, so it's
And it's also pretty crazy that when they sell you all these, they clearly tell you don't use your Harpic and your
Exactly.
Lysol.
I was also
And every ad in the TV says the opposite. So
no, but I mean, it's the seat, it's the plastic part that you
yeah,
don't have
but
to use.
how
it
much
all,
control would you
and
have
they
on
do
your
not-
maid?
Yeah, so the education not only
Is
to
the
the
user.
client, but like you said, trickle down to the end user. At the end of the day, there is a housekeeper who maintains all of this, right? So I think educating them is like
very-
absolutely
equally a part of
critical.
our-
Yeah.
We even tried that also, like, telling them this is the procedure and everything out of teaching everything. They suddenly did something with the Harpic. So he said, "Adu unno brighter." How would you even tell them? They
Yeah.
thought it would be nice for us and they did it, but they ended up.
The intent is there, but the
It's-
cause
I
is
had
lost.
a client who literally took a scrubber and just scrubbed the entire shower panel slowly.
She'll have a brushed metal finish.
not just in houses. I've had this experience in a commercial project where the housekeeping goes in last to scrub, clean, and
Yeah.
nicely they've scrubbed the entire thing, and you have stains the next morning.
So they
you
just
can't
give
protect.
contracts, right? So the
Oh my
housekeeping,
God.
they use acid-based products
Yes.
and all. You have, as a company, you need to
Educated. I
Insist
think
that
that should
these
be a
are things
paper
that are
there
not-
itself.
And we used to have a lot of issues with the urinals which have the inbuilt sensors. We have stopped specifying them because we realized people do not know how to clean that. Because the housekeeping staff, the way they clean is they pour water and the sensor is gone. In one day, the sensor is gone. Oh, it's not working anymore. It's not the fault of the sensor, it is the fault of the way you're using it. You cannot pour water, a bucket of water, and then expect it to function. It doesn't work. You want sensor based, but you need to train your team how to use it.
So I put it on the card, all these solutions in India.
It should have.
All the sanitary tests would
Maybe
have
that
my
is-
names on. So I put it on the card.
That is something that we should ask the company to put it
So
in
when
their
I tell them you
catalog.
have to buy this, they keep forgetting they don't buy it, and then after a point they tell there's a lot of white spots and everything. So I just put it on the card. It gets delivered to that, and it's just before I take my shoe gets soiled.
Okay, I think we are on that point that we should just, if you have to focus on three things that you prioritize while designing a bathroom or a washroom, what would it be? What are those three?
I would say ample light, a counter space, ample counter space for the usage, and the space should be big enough for accommodating all the amenities inside, based on the client's preferences. Whether they need a spa inside the bathroom or a jacuzzi inside the bathroom. So everything should be in a space where they can move around instead of putting everything into it and make it more crampy look. No? As per my experience, I would always design 1/3 of the bedroom size as a bathroom size. So whoever uses the bedroom, let's say 20 by 20, 1/3 of the size will be bathroom size. Because they spend more time in bedroom and bathroom than the living room and the kitchen. Kitchen, the cook uses it. And the living room, whenever you have free time during the Sundays, you may sit. But the bathroom and the bedroom, you are using it every day, every morning, evening. No? So we normally tend to give a very spacious and ambient lighting, and a good counter space, and a good space for putting all the amenities. So all these three things which matters to me a lot during design.
I think, like I mentioned, for me, ventilation is the foremost thing that I think for. Second is choice of materials, because we're talking about aesthetics, we're talking about the look of the bathroom, the theme, and then how do you come up with materials that are anti-skid but at the same time give you the same feel, can be done on the wall, can be done on the floor, but do not, change. And then how does the color of the fittings go with that? So it's a choice that you combine everything. And again, functionality not with respect to how the fittings work, but with respect to where do you store things. Because you might create all this huge, beautiful bathroom, but then you don't have space for towels, you don't have space for your shampoos,
So
all of
I
that.
just keep
Yeah.
this very specific where all your soap dishes and your shampoo also have to have a proper organized place.
Yeah.
So after designing everything, they end up drilling holes, installing the additional add-on units. So I prefer the niche kind of pockets are good enough. So
It's a storage.
yeah, it's a
That's-
storage. Not just planning with the fittings and all of that. Your entire activity inside the toilet needs to be pent down and organized.
I think another important thing will be the ergonomics, right? The heights are absolutely critical. You can't have your WC 1 inch higher than what your standards say.
Or even 1 inch lower.
1 inch lower or higher doesn't work. Height, everything is to the measurements, right? And that's where we fall back on brands to also support us with technical documents, because nowadays each fitting comes with its own specific detail that the plumber, the sometimes the electrician if necessary, all of them need to be well equipped with all the information, because otherwise it's I mean their fittings are worth lakhs of rupees, and if the back end of the work is not done correctly, I think it's quite sad that so I think that ergonomics is key.
The team also.
Absolutely, and also a good support from brands is absolutely, like when we buy these really nice fittings, multifunctional fittings, they give us like PDF formats of like what the working is, the detailed drawing and everything. They also send us technicians to site where they help educate the actual plumber at site, teach them that these are if they learn it once, then they can always do it in multiple places. So that technical support from the brands is like absolutely key, so that the designer who's designed these brands, they have some intent and they have certain feel for the end use. That is only reflected when it's done correctly. Yeah.
In any residence, there are only two spaces where you need to look at more of ergonomics, functionality. One is kitchen and the other one is bathroom.
Yeah, that's what
So other things comes under aesthetics.
Everyone comes
Yeah.
up with.
Yeah.
You have your carpenter, your plumber,
Yeah.
lighting guy.
Like
and
what she has
everyone.
said, you cannot even keep your closet 1 inch higher, 1 inch lower. The ergonomics matters a lot during fixing all
Yeah,
these kinds of
it doesn't matter if it's rimless or not rimless, if it has heated seats, it just can't be fitted. It's the end of the day.
Because that's
It
where,
has to
because
be-
with different shapes of WCs and the thin rim, the thin seat and that thickness goes, and you just can't have standard 4 inches from your FFL for the drain. So you need that WC, that particular technical document used.
Yeah.
You choose what the finished height should be.
What's crucial here is all of these, having technical support and all of that, people in Chennai were enjoying, but then to do a project outstation,
That's true.
it's really, really difficult. I had clients who came down a little on the rural side, but then, they could afford, but they couldn't, install it. So, again, going back to service and all of that, it was a big question mark. So, that's little
Post-sale service or that?
yeah.
Even during installation, we need
Here in
to.
Chennai, I should really appreciate most of the brands. N number of times if you call them also, they're ready to come. They do video calls, they pick up your calls, they solve. They don't expect anything out of it. So that's one thing working out good in Chennai. So we kind of have like brands to use for which zones.
Maybe simple.
Yeah, this is
simpler
just
would
say
be to have
Jaguars.
videos that can help us understand.
Yes, videos do help.
Videos help
Yeah,
us
yeah,
understand. We are
yeah.
much
Today,
more visual.
everything is, I mean, whether the person is financially capable or not, WhatsApp and cell phones are throughout.
that is
It's
it. So
across the
that's easier to
spectrum.
explain. More visual
yeah, a
material.
good online support, a good support in any format, right? Whether and both pre and post installation. So that is very key, along with the knowledge of the architect or the interior designer. So ergonomics beyond all of the ventilation and all of the standards. I think this is another very important thing.
Okay, true, very true. So now we come to the close of our discussion. I think the deliberations have been really
Yeah,
meaningful.
yeah.
because we do all face the same kind of issues. It is within the context that we deal with our clients. So yes, technology is important, but technology is not the mainstay for most of us in designing. We have other parameters that are equally important, if not more important. But technology definitely helps us, because that is how we have water saving mechanisms come in. We have different options to offer our clients. We are doing much better than what we were doing 10 years ago. And I think with one last question, just what is the funniest request that you've had to by a client in your toilet, in the toilet design?
I think nowadays the standard requirement has become based on Vastu, which direction it should go.
It's no longer funny though.
Functionally, that's what I'm saying. It
used
has
to
become
be
a standard requirement now. And based on the layout, we are saying this is how it would work to keep your wet area separate and thing, but they're like,
No.
but I need it north facing. How do you do this?
It doesn't matter if you have to cross the shower and go to test
Yeah,
it.
it doesn't
Right
matter.
in the
The intent is that it has to. So that it's sometimes very challenging to try, especially when we're doing it in apartments. It's very challenging
Very
to get it right.
Earlier days, during 20, 15 years back when we started our practice, we had this problem of clients coming in saying, I don't want the bathroom and the toilet inside the house. I want it outside the house.
Yes.
Now most of the people are residing in an apartment where the apartment toilet is inside the house. That was the funniest thing what I faced long back. Nowadays people start to accept that inside the house they have a toilet and
Inside the house and the segregation of wet and dry area.
wet and dry area. She add to her comment. We had this problem of having this Vastu thing, and we still have the problem. And I don't think it will be changing for the next 50 years. And
It's only
we
going to
cannot
get
segregate the wet and dry area in any of the toilet till now if it is a Vastu consent.
Vastu also, it's particular direction for ladies,
Directions,
particular
yes.
direction for men. So we ourselves are not aware like which
What
one,
to do, which
one
way
do
to
you
go.
need is what we
Yeah.
have
So
to do.
we tell them, you bring your Vastu consultant, ask him which direction you face, and
We will fix it. We will define.
That's what I also ask.
So they
Which
usually tell us,
direction?
as per Vastu you place it. I'm like, everybody's Vastu varies. If I
Tell
ask
me
someone,
which one.
no, even in someone, a Telugu person has a different requirement from a Chennai person. So then we're like, you please
Like
tell
what
us.
she has said, we will try to
Consult.
educate once or twice.
Yeah.
If they still stand it, third, you bring your Vastu consultant, we will decide whatever you want.
We are not the Vastu experts. We will follow what your Vastu
Really localizes this issue. I think it's picking up across.
Then it is their own call. No, they are bringing their Vastu consultant. It is their own call.
I mean, like, to an extent, I really try. I start off with, wet, dry, it's really important, hygiene, all of that I talk. I tell them it's so easy that, you can get dressed up in this manner, like, this is completely dry, it's very easy to use, you can do a pure cold vanity this way. I try my maximum to convince them, I take a picture.
But still, it's
And
easier to
adding on
just
to
say
this-
what he said, ask them to bring their consultant, and we'll do
So-
what you want.
Yeah.
And with,
Or I take one step ahead, I just show some visuals, try to convince them.
You'll get there 2 hours side where
I
we'll say,
just tell them, see, this is not facing
Bring.
your puja, this is not on the puja wall, this is not.
all those criteria
We'll
also
tell
become
something
a
which is
thing.
not there to convince them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like.
Sometimes I even ask them to form a puja to correct it or something.
Apart from Vastu, we used to face this thing. Most of the clients still they used to ask to install a bathtub inside the toilet. And that was the only, if we install, they will be using it for only 1 week. And after that, they will not use it.
Yeah.
They will be spending 1 lakh or 2 lakh for the bathtub and they will not use it. I don't think that is funny, but we have to educate them. Still now people intend to ask for this bathtub in the toilet, which occupies a lot of space, and end of the day they won't use it.
That
They
was
don't,
one
they,
level.
have, they won't find time to sit and use it.
how will you have your shower? You'll have to climb inside that and have your shower.
And moreover, they won't have time to. The ad shows that they have time, like taking a bath for such a long time. Our conservative people, they use the bucket and the shower to take shower. They will not sit on the same dirty water and take bath for a long time. That was the funny thing I would say normally.
I think I wouldn't call this a funny incident, but we had like a 75-year-old client. For all this talk of technology that we're saying, he said not one thing should be concealed. every pipe, everything needs to be
practical
exposed.
experience. You
Yeah,
must have
exactly.
gone
He
through
said,
times which
I want hot water, I'll open my hot water. I want cold water. If there's a leak, I'll see it, you know.
I think the
If
funniest
I
thing
need-
we had is this guy in COVID who said he needs his folding table. We had to provide him next to the WC because he was like, I sit for an hour in the toilet and I read in the toilet. Like, that's your haven, no what? You just hide there. But yeah, we have different clients and different needs. But let's go
No, but
ahead
that's the
and see
thing.
what
We might
Fima
think it's
has.
funny, and then tomorrow, like she said, for the iPad, it's
Yeah.
become a norm
It's become
now.
a norm now.
It has become a norm. I mean,
What
I've done
in the toilets?
projects even 15, 18 years back where doing a book rack above the thing was a thing you need.
Now it
Archie's
becomes a
comics
nice
so that you can sit and read.
Now you have to have
for
a
however long
phone
so that
holder
it's,
on top of your tissue paper holder.
Yeah.
Like now, like what you said, we used to install benches
Charging
inside the
points.
toilet.
Inside the toilet.
Benches as well as a magazine rack is there.
So people do spend time.
Magazine racks and all.
It's good for the photo shoot.
So thank
No,
you so
still
much.
people use it.
Yeah. I know we'll continue to talk after the lights are off, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much.